segment like that together on the show. He's getting really, really pissed off at some things he's reading online. For those of you who weren't around back then, I used to call out by name each week's top idiot on the forum. I named it the most ridiculous forum member of the week. Donnie wants us to get back doing that. I don't know. I very rarely go on the forums. Honestly, I just don't have time. Who has time to sit around a forum for 10 hours, for 15 hours? Who does? I don't. Do you do? Donnie does apparently, but I really don't. But listen, the forums are instrumental to our success. There's no question about that. Without the forums, we wouldn't be anybody. So don't think that I don't take my hat off to the forum and its members. All right, without further ado, here is former UFC fighter Aaron Brink. When we come back, news and rumors, then your listener emails. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Brink grew up in Huntington Beach, California. As the son of a blue-collar worker, he started two passions when he was young, wrestling and surfing. He began wrestling around the age of 8. However, Brink was most passionate in the ocean. Nevertheless, the reason you've heard of him is because he grew up to be a famous mixed martial art fighter, having fought in the UFC, Rings, King of the Cage, and other big-time promotions. He's now set to face none other than Dan Quinn August 20th on a Gladiator Challenge show. We'll talk about that and a lot more. Please help me welcome Mr. Aaron Brink to Carsons Corner. Thank you for joining us today.
No problem. You're welcome.
My producer said he spoke with you on the phone when you were coming out of the gym. Where are you training these days?
I am training at the Arena Mixed Martial Arts Academy in San Diego, California.
I know that your last fight was against the giant Travis Brown earlier this year, and I'm sure you're ready to get back in the cage and put that loss behind you, right?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, I'm actually training at one of the facilities where his management, I kind of went where I to his place, and I was referred there by my friend Rick Slayton. Coming down to San Diego is a whole new start for me. I've had the best training here that I've ever had anywhere.
Any of the training partners do you think that we've heard of?
Training partners, there's a lot of new guys that are coming up in the sport, and you'll be hearing of a lot of these guys coming up. But mainly, I have a lot of thanks to give to my new trainer Cosmo. I first came down here to San Diego to the arena. I was shopping for a head coach, someone to train me. And when I saw Cosmo, I knew I found my guy. Man, this guy is absolutely phenomenal trainer. And we have Pat over there. We got the guys. Rick Slayton trains there. There's a lot of the people. I haven't met all the guys yet because my schedule is kind of a weird schedule. I do the jiu-jitsu classes and stuff like that. And I do the MMA classes when I can, but the pro classes. But I do a lot of private training with Cosmo, and I have a David Amata. He's an NCAA wrestler, Division I. He's a champion in wrestling. I have him. I have a bunch of guys that are round robining with me in the cage and stuff like that. So I get my work.
It sounds like you're training in good company. Now, in retrospect, do you think, going back to the Travis Brown fight, do you think you were a little too rusty to take on someone that large and skilled after a long layoff like that?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I had originally, I didn't even take the fight. A trainer of mine, a guy I was training with up in the valley, I wasn't even really training. I mean, I had a long stint of sobriety, and I had been, and my idea of being ready for a fight is, hey, I'm sober, okay, I'm good to fight, and it was a situation where I was presented to fight him. They said, this the heavyweight guy is pretty tough. We've got, some wins. He's about 6'4", weighs about 240 was what he presented to me. I just figured, okay, whoever it is, I have no problem. Let's do this. And then I agreed with my trainer after he had taken the fight. And then I looked into it a little bit. I called my friend Rick Slayton, and he's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you taking this fight for? You're a 205, or this guy's 265, and he's a net 265. And I'm like, oh, God, okay, well, what I got to do, I'm just going to go forward. I'm not backing out of anything. Because if I back out right now, the whole world is watching everything I'm doing due to things that I've been through in the last few years. With, the rocky and bumpy path that I've had. I have to. I really got. I can't afford a no-show or backing out of a fight. They gave me this fight on a week's notice, and I felt like Ted Williams was doing me a huge favor by letting me come back. Because I couldn't get a fight. I've been trying everywhere to get people to let me fight. And no one wanted to take a chance on me. So that's where it was at.
How did you decide upon Dan Quinn as your next fight? Was this just the idea of Gladiator Challenge, or?
Well, actually, I was my friend Jimmy Kennedy, who is he's a really close friend of mine. We've been friends for years. We actually met on MySpace a few years ago. He was a fan, and he became a really dear friend of mine. And he was reading some stuff on the internet, and he's like, hey, listen, this guy sounds like he would be a really good fight for you. He actually was like, I guess, emailing back and forth, or he was in contact with Mr. Quinn. And then he told me that I should ask around about it. And then he actually asked Quinn if he would fight me or whatever. And Quinn, at that point, looked me up or whatever, and apparently, to my knowledge, and was very interested in fighting me. And we went from there. And that's how it went. I was over the Gladiator Challenge on Friday. Last Sunday. And I ran into none other than Cal Worsham, who's a guy who has trained with Quinn in the past and knows of Quinn and knows of Quinn's interest in fighting me. And he and I spoke for a few minutes, and I was like, hey, let's do this. I would love to fight the guy. He sounds like a really good opponent for me. I looked him up on the internet, and just I am 100% down. I'm ready to do it.
Have you seen any of his YouTube videos?
Absolutely, I've seen everything there and more. I've seen a lot of footage on Dan Quinn.
Now he's made a bunch of videos addressed to you, and he seems to have a great deal of respect towards you.
Yeah, the feeling is mutual. Like I text messaged Dan a few times. We've talked back and forth on text message only. We haven't really talked on the phone. But I really wish the sport was filled with more guys like Dan Quinn, because he's a stand-up guy. He wants to go out there and fight like a man. That's what the sport needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I know about Dan Quinn, because I'm also very good friends with him, one thing that I know about Dan Quinn is that he usually maintains contacts with his opponent. Like, he fought Harry Gopal in his last fight, who's a very, very good stand-up fighter. He lost, and him and Harry are the best of friends. So there's a good chance that the both of you will be friends after this fight.
Yeah, I have the utmost respect for him based on what I've seen in his videos. He and I see eye to eye on more than one thing. We share some views, and especially the Kimbo Slice thing. I mean, he and I definitely see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Now, one thing about Dan is that he usually weighs about 210 or so. I know he's been up to 220 because he was in jail for several weeks, but he's smaller than you are, I believe. What is your weight, and what weight do you anticipate fighting at this time?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping Dan will come in and come in the best shape possible. I was a 205er when I fought Travis Brown. I weighed actually 207 pounds when I weighed in to fight Travis, and Travis was 264.7. So I mean, I'm a very small. I'm not even a heavyweight. I'm actually considering going to 185 for my next mixed martial arts fight. But I was considering doing a 205 weigh-in for this match with Dan Quinn.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as you're comfortable at that weight, I think that at least you've got enough time to train and be prepared for this fight.
Yeah, I'm walking around right now at 207. I weigh 207 net weight. I mean, I do a lot of cardio. I run a lot. I mean, I really don't have much to cut, but I'm actually considering trying to cut like some water weight. I don't really have much to cut, but fasting and sauna, steam room, and all that stuff. I think I could possibly make 185 even, but not for this fight. I'm thinking maybe he and I should either chest weight at 200 or a 205 win, whatever works for Dan. I just want to make this fight happen because I think it's a really good idea, and I just love the idea of this whole thing. And I wanted to do it sooner than the 20th, but I got to just do what I got to do.
All right, the Internet Adult Film Database lists a few movies released this year that you're in. Aaron, are you splitting your time between fighting and your films these days?
Actually, a lot of those film releases, they show that they release now, but those have been in the bag for a long time. Those films, let's say I shot for them in 2007 or 2006, and they hold on to it. It's called in the bag. They hold on to the content or the footage, and then they release it, and then it'll show that I did a scene like last week or whatever, and that's not the case. I've declined scenes. I don't do the porn scenes as much anymore. I do it very minimally. I only work for one company, and that's for Lethal Hardcore.